Welcome everyone. This is the Gaming Gitz podcast, episode one of Tabletop Trash Talk. As always, you're going to be hearing from me, Rafiq, and
me, Riley.
You might remember us, formerly known as Swolehammer. We have been reborn as Gaming Gitz for a multitude of reasons, as we'll kind of go over in the introduction. But yeah, so Riley, do you want to give the people kind of a quick synopsis of what we've been up to and why we've been on hiatus for the past couple months?
Yeah, I mean, I do like the imagery of being reborn. I feel like we're baptized in a pool of dice, and we're emerging a new channel, a new creative effort.
That's one way to put it.
So yeah, we moved away from Columbus. We're in the middle of just kind of a big move. We're looking for a place to stay, and it's been complicated.
But we're in an undisclosed location in Michigan right now.
Can't disclose it.
Where I've lived most of my life, and Riley's lived a good chunk of hers. That being said, we're in high spirits and having a good time. But since I talk so damn much at Riley anyway, I figured this is a podcast is kind of like the perfect opportunity just to not that I love the sound of my own voice, but I think it's kind of important for people to hear opinions of other people, especially in the hobby, that's not kind of the same old rigmarole, and that's kind of why we started this. But we'll get on to spicier topics later, but I think we're going to start pretty calm here.
Let's hot takes.
Yeah, let's do some hot takes. First of all, Riley, what have you been hobbying on? What have we been playing in the time we've been gone? Because I know before we did the Swolehammer hiatus, I kind of laid out what the content plan was, and then I got injured, and then we were busy, and then we were moving, so none of that really happened. So what have we been up to these past couple months?
Yeah, I mean, stuff is always changing for us, but lately we have been playing a lot of Spearhead. A lot of Spearhead.
Yeah, nothing's changed there. Spearhead is undeniably the best way to play Sigmar, and probably one of the better gaming systems just in general currently right now.
Undeniably. You're here with the hot takes, everybody.
I don't think that's too much of a hot take.
Pretty lukewarm.
Yeah. Riley's been working on a lot of 40K. We are 40K players.
For better or worse.
Yeah. I mean, 40K is a good game system. Just, community kind of sucks. Yeah. We're always working on Heresy. Not really. I mean, we it's funny because we've been known as the Warcry channel when we're Swolehammer. We have not touched Warcry in a long time, have not touched Kill Team in a long time.
I don't think anyone's touched Warcry in a long time.
Yeah, except the people who watch our channel, apparently. That being said, we've also been kind of getting back into boarding actions for 40K. Another game, the smaller game systems kind of always eke their way in, and they're kind of more fun. They allow quicker games. Granted, the setup for boarding actions takes a long time. But yeah, it's been a fun time kind of focusing on the smaller scale stuff. Before we get into our first topic, what is a game system or a project you're looking forward to in the next year? Because this is being recorded literally 3 days before the new year.
A lot to think about going into the new year. Do you have any New Year's resolutions for the hobby? Any games that you've been looking to kind of get into? Any games that you're looking to try to play more of? Any games that you're swearing off?
Yeah, leave those in the comments. But I asked you, Riley, what are you looking to play in 2026?
Oh, me? I thought you were talking to the people.
No.
I've
talked to them enough.
2026, honestly, probably more Spearhead. It's funny because I have two Spearheads that I play a lot of. One is the Iron Jaws Big Mob, and the other is Andrasto Spearhead. Both super fun, both pretty kind of similar play style, very hard, durable, hard to shift. Maybe in 2026 it would be good for me to pick up a new Spearhead that has a little bit of a different play style, maybe something that's a little more hordy, volume of dice kind of thing. I don't know, we'll see. I've kind of been eyeing up Deepkin, but
yeah, you are also a big infantry batch painter, so
that's true.
I could see if there is one that kind of eventually speaks to you, that could be good.
Yeah. Aside from that, I really want to get some more work done on my white scars for Horus Heresy. That'd be a lot of fun. I got a lot of bikes that I need to paint up. Kind of interested to see what's going to happen with Custodes / Talons of the Emperor between 40k and Heresy could be cool.
Yeah, you just, and for reference, Riley did finish, was that 1,000 points of Custodes for Heresy? I mean, they can all be played in 40k, the ones that she painted, but I believe it's 1,000 points Heresy.
Yeah, it's about that.
Yeah, so, good Zone Mortalis kind of strike force or something like that. Any new game systems? We did paint a Blood Bowl. We each painted Blood Bowl teams for the new season. We haven't tried it out yet.
That's true. We need to try that game at some point. I feel like that's kind of a common thread for us for side games. We'll paint teams or armies for games that aren't Games Workshop, or maybe they are Games Workshop, but they're a little more fringe. We just don't get around to making time for playing them. So I think that would be a good goal for us for 2026.
Right. And it's another thing that's interesting because I think another reason behind the rebrand, I meant to say at the top of the episode, is like we do play and paint non-Games Workshop games. We have painted Malifaux, Conquest, MCP teams, and also segueing into my 2026, I want to play some Star Wars Legion. The new starter boxes came out. There's like 4 of them, but we did the Clone Wars ones. I did the droids. She did the Clone Troopers. And that's one I'm actually like really excited about because it's one of the few games where everyone's like, yeah, this is fun. We have a good time with it. So that's exciting. Play more of those smaller games like MCP is a big one. Another one we have painted teams. We just never got to it because, like terrain and playmats and like not every store has it. The big one for me though in 2026, aside from Legions, as for new game systems, is Imperialis. I really, really want to play Legions Imperialis. Riley's had painted knights for it's probably almost a year now.
Yeah, it took the easy way. He went with the knights.
Yeah, but I was hoping maybe Custodes would come out or like even Demons of the Runestorm. Like people are really looking.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, people actually have like makeshift rules for those. But yeah, it's like I really am looking forward to like Imperialis because from what everyone says, it's like the game is really snappy. It just once you like know the base rules, it's just go and like everything flows. There's not a lot of bloat, which I really like. Yeah, so, and then the new Saturnine stuff came out in Imperialis, so, funnily enough, it's like not a small scale game, but it's small models, but either way, that's like kind of the overview for our 2026. Let's go into the first topic. Let's take the easy route. Like, let's not get super spicy on our first episode, but smaller game systems, it's pretty safe to say, like I said, we've been known as the Warcry channel as long as we were Swolehammer, even though we did a lot of AOS. Like I literally did videos of every faction for AOS. Smaller game systems, why do you enjoy them more, Riley? And then we'll get to my opinion.
I kind of like just having easier pickup games. A lot of these are terrain lighter. Oftentimes it's a smaller board, so you need less terrain. It's easier to find terrain at your local friendly game store, or if you're playing at home, you don't have to own as much terrain. You don't have to paint as much terrain. As someone who loves painting models, that's kind of the big part of what I enjoy about this hobby over time. I just don't enjoy painting terrain. I don't know what it is. It feels like not like wasted time. It is still productivity.
Which is funny because not to cut you off, but in a couple of days we're like literally gonna paint the entire boarding actions terrain set, but we're probably gonna like 2 primer color and like marine juice that shit and call it a day.
Yeah, you don't have to go too hard on that.
But it is funny as well because for Spearhead, it's again like giving Spearhead its flowers. Like we painted the terrain for both sets when the first set came out on launch day for 4th edition, and then Sand and Bone.
Yep.
We painted each of those probably in like 4 hours. Like
yeah, it wasn't much.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. So that's another nice thing about a smaller game format is like even if we don't like to paint terrain, it's not that hard,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like the reasons why smaller games are just kind of more fun, at least to me, are pretty endless. I could wax poetic about this for a while. If I want to try a new faction or something, it's not like a huge daunting thing to paint 2,000 points of a faction. I could just get a little box and be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely agree. One of the big things is that you can kind of meet people at LGSs for kind of like the smaller games that get less attention, or just smaller format games, and they're just looking to have fun.
I feel like the rules are usually a lot less crunchy for smaller games too, because it really is just a lot more lighthearted. No one's trying to go win tournaments. Maybe the exception being Kill Team.
Yeah, but there's less like cheesing. I mean, like, and that's the thing. We're talking about the smaller formats, like within a game system. So like from 40K to Boarding Actions or Combat Patrol, Age of Sigmar into Spearhead, like those kind of things. I mean, like, sure, Warcry and Kill Team are smaller formats. They're their own games. One thing that I've definitely found is like we've definitely made more friends out of like smaller format games. I mean, you had your Spearhead League when we lived in Columbus.
Yep, Combat Patrol League had that too.
Yeah, and it was just like nice to be able to meet people who are kind of like chill with the hobby or newer to the hobby. There's not as much cheesing, like I said. And that's the thing is like you can, with these small format games, you can spend way less money. It's like, I mean, this is becoming an increasingly more expensive hobby, and not paying, $300 to $400 to start 1,000 points of 40K or something like that is huge.
Sometimes more. You're talking about trying out Adeptus Mechanicus. Forget about it.
Overall, like I said, we've been enjoying the smaller format games like Boarding Actions and Spearhead, but on the topic of these small format games, let's talk about the future of them, because they do feel like the unsung heroes, the workhorses of these game systems. Like Spearhead, I feel like a lot of these games haven't gotten their flowers on a bigger level until Spearhead did come out with 4th edition. Like people are like, oh man, like I actually want to play Sigmar. This is sweet. And that's a cool thing to see. But on maybe a little bit of a spicier note, like I promised a little bit of spice, I'm half Bengali anyway. So Spearhead, where does it land in this whole game sphere? And has it kind of replaced Warcry?
Yes.
All right, that's it. See you guys next time.
I think Spearhead's replaced a lot of game space in terms of like what people play for GW. I think even people that play other smaller games within GW have gravitated towards Spearhead, because it's almost the same reason that people gravitate toward 40K, even if it isn't the game system that you want to play the most. It's the game system where you know that you can find pickup games the easiest.
But it's also interesting because people will pick up a Spearhead over a Combat Patrol because people literally play that game more and have fun. Like there are people who are actively like not only whingy Sigmar players, but also people who are like new to the hobby or in an LGS, and they'll have like this beautifully painted Spearhead and they're like, well, I've never played it because it's 610 points or something random. And then they'll play it and be like, they'll do the same thing, like you said, wax poetic about it, like we are. And it's really brought people out of the woodwork, which I find interesting, because this is the only time any form of AOS has actually gotten ahead of 40K in any metric aside from like model quality, pretty much. Yeah,
definitely. And it's funny because I do feel like people who are new to Warhammer and new to the hobby in general often do gravitate toward Age of Sigmar, but outside of some rare LGSs being the exception, most places there aren't people to play Sigmar with. People just don't play it that much. But the models are beautiful, and that's the first place that new players want to go. They see 40K versus Age of Sigmar. Not to take anything away from 40K sculpts, there's a lot of incredible sculpts out there, and most of them are good. But you look at Sigmar models, and I just want to paint them, just all of them, every faction.
Can I need to have an aside about this, because this was like a funny thing that happened we didn't really talk about. But when we were at a unnamed nerd store as I call them, in Michigan, some worker there was loudly talking about how he was like, he's some like Dark Angels like asshole. And it was like funny too, because sorry, they're swearing in this podcast because that's just me. But yeah, it's super funny because this guy was loudly talking in like the whole entire store, and it's a big space, about how, yeah, I don't think Sigmar models are like actually that good. Like outside of like some centerpieces, like you look at the infantry and they're pretty bland. And
you're insane.
Yeah, I was like, bland like your fucking personality. Like what? That was like one of the funniest things I've heard in a while, because I was like, you work here, man. Like I know you're not the owner, but like
just telling people like, oh, this isn't a good product.
Yeah, don't buy this because I like Space Marines. That's not smart. Sorry I had to bring that story up because I just love to shit on people when I can.
I mean, listen, we're here because we like a spicy take.
Yeah,
but that's full habanero, full just like I don't know.
We could honestly have a full episode of just LGS stories.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I think people would like that because I just don't pull punches. But on the first topic though, like I keep saying, we were known as the Warcry channel when we started, and then we went into AOS more, Big Sig as we call it. And it's funny because Spearhead kind of just like replaced Warcry, you know, like you said, yes it did, and it's totally true. All the Warcry like boxes are online, only on the GW store. They've been all the Warcry warbands are repackaged into Spearheads. So it's very interesting because it's like I do enjoy Warcry, but it is good and bad to see that it, like they're never gonna say it because they're gonna give it like little rules updates like with the House Miss of Hashut, you know, for Warcry and stuff. But they pretty much just were like axe the game, like we're done.
Yeah. There's too much inner conflict with what people want from Warcry. You said it 1,000 times on Soulhammer when we were doing that like Warcry had no identity, and it's honestly true, and I think it's what cannibalized the game. You have a small subsection of the game that's people who are trying to make Warcry into like a competitive game, like an esport almost, but it doesn't function for that, and it's not made for that, and it's not designed for that. And most people who are drawn into Warcry are people who are like, I don't want to deal with a full game. I don't want to deal with a competitive setting. I want the equivalent of like a fun board game time with my friends.
Beer and pretzels.
Beer and pretzels, 100%.
Yeah.
And then they try to like, oh, you know, let's take our friends and go to like an event and just, you know, whatever. And they just get steamrolled and stomped by these people with like Warcry podcasts and Warcry, you know, you just like overanalyze the game to the point of it being like, I always say it's like competitive Fall Guys. I don't know what you're doing. Why are you doing that?
Right. And it's like you can be as sweaty as you want with the game. That's fine. But usually the sweatiness leads to toxicity, with poisoning the well with like a community or new players or whatever it might be. The most fun I remember having with Warcry was when we lived in Columbus, and shout out Betty. Betty and her partner, we'd like have Warcry Tuesdays and like just play Warcry a couple games like next to each other. And it was just fun because we just were like not serious about it, you know, but it was like easy enough and quick enough to just roll some dice. Okay, switch over. Okay, roll some dice. Cool. And then, you know, you get lunch or something. Like that was fun.
Yeah. And we get to see new models that we've painted, to check out what the other people have painted, compliment each other, dap each other up. That's the whole point.
But then story time. So again, and actually it's funny because I talked to our friend recently about this because we did play Warcry and Adepticon
a couple of times, I think.
No, we only been to Adepticon once.
Oh, that's true. The other was Gen Con.
Yeah, but it was Adepticon, was it 2022?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It was still in Illinois. So it's funny because Riley ended up going 4-0. I went 2-2. I'm not going to get into that because I got rules, what do you call it?
Rules lawyered in a way that was incorrect.
Yeah, by the TO, but he was a nice guy. He just didn't know what the hell he was doing. But yeah, so what happened is it's funny going back and looking at that because even our one buddy was like, who's like very chill. He brought his Seraphon and he just was like, yeah, it's literally like so stark playing Warcry because it is the beer and pretzels game and then playing a tournament, and you literally have people who are like, yeah, I don't really know how to play, I just have this warband painted. It's usually Corvus Cabal because they're great models, and they're just getting like, you know, they'll have like a decent game and then they'll get like their shit kicked in, and so you could tell half the people are like having a terrible time because they're getting their shit kicked in, and then the other half are having a terrible time because they're sweating. Literally the weird competitive sports thing of we don't look at the other team because, you know, that'll show that we're less masculine, you know, like, or some bullshit like
with their jerseys.
Yeah, with their jerseys. And it was such a weird time. Like I'm glad Riley ended up getting 4-0, but it was like, holy shit, like some of y'all got to go touch some grass. Like,
yeah,
there's not a lot in Schaumsburg, but you could find some. I
do have to own up a little bit there though, because I feel like that was my first real Warhammer event, and coming from a TCG background, I'll admit I didn't fully get the assignment, and I think I was one of those sweaty players, to be honest. I didn't have a jersey.
Yeah, but you at least were friendly and talked to people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of sad in a way to see Warcry go by the wayside, but also like Spearhead such a good replacement. I don't know. What do you guys think about the whole like Warcry Spearhead thing? Because I mean, like, it's very written on the wall if you like pay attention to this stuff, but it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. Going into more small format games, because like I said, Spearhead's like the one metric that AOS beats 40K on. But where's Combat Patrol going to land in 11th edition? Because that game, honestly, if they just do the same thing of like, here's some terrain pieces and some cards and actually think the game process through, it could be just as good.
I love Combat Patrol, man. I just got to say it. I love it. It has a lot of glaring issues. The teams are not balanced at all, but there's something about it. I just like the ability to try out a faction and the way that you can in Spearhead for AOS, but in 40K is just, I really hope they give it the Spearhead treatment like you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Combat Patrol, I do think that one of the big killers for Combat Patrol, and I hope they change this, you can have the set lists, but don't have the set war gear, because the war gear is like the weapon options are so important in 40K. And in some ways it's just kind of like stupid. Your 2 sanguinary guard have swords and the one has spear. It's like, dude, I don't want to roll these separate. Just like, let me do all the stuff at once. And that's how people play it. I think the game honestly might be suited better if you have set lists of models but not set war gear.
Yeah.
That could be an interesting thing. But yeah, like, I want to see Combat Patrol thrive because Spearhead's so fun, and if they do the same thing, it's like, honestly, I could see that blow up in the same way Spearhead has, but like, since it's 40K, it's multiplied by 40,000.
That's true. I think one thing that they could do to really fix some of the issues with Combat Patrol, just by nature of like, 40K is a much shootier game, obviously. And so in 40K, you need a lot of terrain. In Combat Patrol, it's been a little bit since I did the League. From what I remember, however, there wasn't really as much terrain or like hard setups for terrain. I could be wrong about that. It's possible I'm misremembering, but I don't think they tell you exactly where to put what terrain. And I think in a game like that, you really need to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be... Because that's, again, with the Spearhead thing, is like, you could just have Combat Patrol box. It could come out with the new 11th edition launch box where you just have some terrain, and that's your Combat Patrol terrain.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, you have to have minimum these 6 pieces or something on the board, and at least as an example to show this is the minimum you need for this game. This is where it goes, la-di-da-di-da, you know?
And I think that would also really help a lot of people with home setups for Warhammer, like people who have their own tables and like their own terrain, to get their hands on more terrain in an easier way. Just because I've heard a lot of people who have setups like that talk about how a lot of times they have to go third party for just different 40K terrain or Sigmar terrain, because to get terrain, you have to buy these like big boxes that also come with models that they might not want. Or they have to wait for like made to order stuff go on sale on the website, and it potentially sells out super fast.
Or you have to paint the damn terrain, which is not fun.
It's not fun. But at least, I don't know. I honestly didn't mind doing it for a Spearhead, because it's like, it's such like one and done that I can see the finish line and it's for a specific purpose, that it bothered me a lot less.
And also, like I said, we finished each set in 4 hours separately. 8 hours for 2 sets. I mean, actually, no, the second set, Sand and Bone, I think we finished in like 2. It was like really fast.
It wasn't super long, and I think it looks, I don't know. I know there's not a golden demon for terrain. It's not that, but it's fine. People say it looks good when they come over and play games with us. So
yeah, I mean, and that's what it is. It has to just be good from like the top-down view. But yeah, I mean, like, kind of as we were saying, is we've kind of been into these smaller format games, and we want to know from y'all, do you like these small format games? Do you agree or disagree with whatever I said? I'm sure you will, and leave it in the comments. I always respond to comments because I think it's fun, to jaw jack with people at times. But as for the community, I mean, I'm really grateful. I just want to say in this outro, like, grateful that people have stuck with us. I know it's been like 3 months or something with no videos, but I didn't have like the best health in Columbus, and now that I'm better, we just haven't had space, like a proper setup to do this until recently. So it's been a process getting stuff together, but appreciate y'all sticking with us. We still have, the 2,700 of you, which is like unreal to think about. But in this last section, as you guys, the community, what are you working on? What are you enjoying? What are you looking for in 2026? We're going to have more episodes of this covering more topics, but we kind of just wanted to start with here's what we've been doing and why we think this is great. Let's try to be positive about the games that we spend so much time and money on. And so taking us out, Riley, what's one thing you're grateful for either the year, the hobby, or whatever it might be?
Honestly, just that we escaped Ohio. That place is crazy.
Yeah.
And we still have each other.
That's true. Yeah, we're still happy and together, and we're not in Ohio. I agree with all that. I was gonna say, yeah, definitely. Hobby wise, I'm grateful for just being able to have great models. I know a lot of people like complain about model quality and all this other shit that it's like I couldn't do this myself, so I tend not to like complain about what's presented to me when it comes to that like regard visually. So it's just nice to be able to get you see new models where it's like, oh man, that's really cool, and that we're fortunate enough to be able to work on them. So that's also really nice. But yeah, being in better health, happy, living happy lives, that's all we can ask for, in a year, and that's it. As always, this is Rafiq
and Riley, and
we're now the Gaming Gitz, and hope to you guys hear us, I guess, in a future episode. And I don't have a tagline anymore, so we have to figure that one out.
Yeah, I don't know. Chime off. What's the Gaming Gitz tagline? We can't stay swole anymore, so. But we are.
Yeah, we are trying to be swole.
We are.